Let me know when we go live. Well, hello and welcome to round 4 of the Race Department Grand Prix Championship here from Silverstone for the 4th round of the season. We have a 62 lap race to entertain us this evening, and we can see the drivers are out in qualifying. Of course, the rules meaning you only get 4 laps, 1 in lap, 2 fast laps, or 1 out lap, 2 fast laps, 1 in lap. That's your lot. So you've got to be on it from the moment you say go. You're going to make sure you build on both your laps, because if you lose out on one, then you might lose out on the second as well. I'm Danmar, and we will be talking through the racing here tonight. And as I say, everyone on qualifying at the moment. It's only a 10-minute session, so it is very quick indeed. And it's private, so only one driver per session in effect. But as I say, of course, all the drivers have to get the laps in very, very quickly indeed. And of course, because it is private sessions per driver, it then means that obviously there's no traffic to contend with. It is literally you, the car, and the race circuit. So we have so far a very nice 20-car field for tonight. Currently sat waiting to qualify, and we will find out in just a few moments' time who will be quick. Okay, so Christian Moreau will be the first person on a fast lap. In fact, he's on his second lap, and as they make their way, makes his way through Magnus Beckett's this wonderfully long complex of corners. First the left, then the right, then the left again, then the right again. You've really got to commit. You've got to really nail the apexes. There's no room for complacency through there. You've got to really drive the car hard. And as you come under the bridge onto the Hangar Straight, it's going to be an interesting one to see who will come out on top. Of course, he's getting very near to the end of his first of 2 flying laps. Just the final chicane left to go. Again, really hitting the sausage curb. And as he comes over the line now, he will set a lap time of 1:36.559, which is the benchmark for everyone else to be going around. And we'll see in just a few moments' time whether people can, in fact, go quicker than that. Although I have noticed Moreau has been really attacking the front brakes and sort of locking up. And of course, Seltzer is currently in provisional pole position, 1:36.448. Matt Legally and Steve Legally, the only two to come over the line now, but Joseph Wright comes and jumps in, 1:36.646. So as everyone starts setting their laps time, and round goes Moreau on his fast lap. That's the end of his qualifying. So only gets the 1 lap in, which could mean maybe he gets pushed further back because he's got no chance to respond to everyone else. But as we see from everyone currently out there as well, Seltzer sets the fastest lap, who's currently 0.111 ahead of Christian Moreau, which is always a nice rounding number as he comes through Cops now on his second of his fast laps. Through Magnus Beckett's, he comes once again. He is pushing very hard indeed, is Ryan. He's been going quite well all season. We'll see where everyone ends up very shortly indeed. And currently Matt Legale back in the pits, so he's decided he can't go on. Could have made a mistake early on in the lap. Of course, he's only set the 1 fastest lap, and it just came back into the pit box. So no struggle for him. But can Ryan go faster? We're going to come over the line now. It's second place for Ali Ferry, and yes, he does go faster indeed. by 0.430 of a second, and Ryan Seltzer 136 dead will mean that he could be on pole position, but no, Matt Beavis on his first lap goes even quicker. 135.990 pips him to the post by 0.028 of a second. So as they make their way up towards the Wellington straight now for Matt Beavis, it's currently Matt Beavis ahead of Ryan Seltzer, Ali Ferry, Christian Moreau, Dan Long, Joseph Wright, Matt Legale, Campbell Wallace, Mike Davies and Christopher Beavis in the top 10 so far, with Tom Lambert, Steve Legale, Tom Watts, Matt Wright, Aita Sintez, and Eric Andre in 16th place, Charles Baccio in 17th, Sherwin van der Sloot in 18th, 19th, Jamie Brooks, and Douglas Simonelli in 20th place so far. But of course, Charles Baccio also showing some good pace. Can end up finishing the race. He will be very strong indeed. And as we could say, up towards the final couple of corners for Matt Beavis. Can he go even quicker to really show his domination on the field in the MK Sim Sports car? Making his way around the final corner now. And what can it be? It's not going to be quicker, no. Very consistent. He was only 0.016 down on his fastest lap, but he was still slower nonetheless. Ali Ferry remains in third place. And interestingly enough, it will be Matt Beavis then, who completing 3 out of his 4 laps, yet to come into the pit lane, obviously just finishing his final lap, so that will be it. But with 2 minutes and 45 of the session left to go, Sherwin van der Sloot joins the bottom of the board. Oh, sorry. And Baccio now out as well. It's going to be an interesting one. Where does he pop? 5th place there on his first lap for Charles. And with 2 minutes and 30 of the session left to go, he's got plenty of time to get his second lap in. And if he can really get it nailed down, he's 0.6 of a second behind Matt Beavis. If he can get a couple more corners absolutely nailed, he can really thrust himself further up into the order. And we will have to wait to see what happens there. But provisionally, it's Matt Beavis on pole ahead of Ryan Seltzer, Ali Ferry, Christian Moreau, Charles Baccio, Dan Long, Joseph Wright, Matt Legale, Campbell Wallace and Mike Davis, your top 10. Tom Lambert, Christopher Beavis, Aita Sintez, Steve Legale, Matt Wright, Tom Watts, Sherwin van der Sloot, Douglas Simonelli in the top 18. And Douglas comes over the line now to set his second lap. 148.841. He'll be staying at the bottom of the board. And Eric Andre in the number 4 Talking Nor Racing car is currently out on his warming up lap, and Jamie Brooks is doing the same as well. And as Charles comes under the bridge now up towards Stowe, just a few corners left to go on his second lap, it will be an interesting one to see. Through Stowe he comes now. It's a very high energy corner. You're really flexing the front left of the car. Now braking into the final chicane, you got to go left and then right. Really hook the car in. If you get a lot of grip up there, Sherwin van der Sloot moves up into 8th place. But can Charles Baccio improve over the line now? And he does, but only up to 4th place. So Charles Baccio now up into 4th place. So a good lap from him. And see him now 0.3 of a second behind Matt Beavis. Matt Beavis, the only man to go under the 1 minute 36. So with 46 seconds of the session left to go, Eric Andre will not qualify. Jamie Brooks about to come up towards the line now. So only one person who does not qualify. Over the line he comes now. He's going to get this one and another. He's got plenty of time. But by putting on the power through the final corner, really feels the car moving. Over the line, 141.5, which puts him 17th. Although he has got another lap to find some more pace. But yeah, Sherwin van der Sloot now back into the pit lane. Charles Baccio, the only one of the front runners to come in. So it will be Jamie Brooks, the only man to set a qualifying time, or second qualifying lap time now. But it will be Matt Beavis who starts on pole ahead of Ryan Seltzer, Ali Ferry. Charles Baccio was 4th. 5th place for Christian Moreau. Dan Long will be in 6th place. 7th place Joseph Wright. Sherwin van der Sloot, Matt Legale, Campbell Wallace, Mike Davies, Tom Lambert, Christopher Beavers, 80 Centers, Steve Legale, Matt Wright, Jamie Brooks is on board now, Tom Watts, Douglas Simonelli, Enric Andre did not qualify, and that is your top 20 in this session. So with the session now finished, it's only Jamie Brooks to complete his lap, and through the left and right hits Magnus and Beckett, really attacking very nicely indeed. You can see the rear end just trying to step out a little bit, a lot of lateral force being applied to the car through the very long corners, as to be expected, and up towards the final handful of corners. Can Jamie improve enough in order to get up further into the field? Through Stowe goes, just as the chicane left to go, breaks at around about 80 metres before the chicane, hits both apexes quite nicely, I'd say. Well, he hits the first very nicely, the second not quite so, but as he comes over the line now, is it going to be an improvement? 140.9, so he does improve, but not in position. And in fact, yes, he does, up to 15th place. So Steve Legale now down 16th, 80 Centers, Jamie Brooks, Steve Legale, Matt White, Tom Watts, and Douglas Simonelli, 14th or 15th. And there we go, that's your qualifying. And as we come out of the warm-up, our 62 lap race is in prospect for our 20 racers as we get ready for what is going to be a very long race here for the 4th round of the RaceDepartment.com Grand Prix Championship. Using the Dallara DW12s as a nice performance leveler, and it's really made for some interesting racing throughout the course of the season. And as the pace car is about to take its head to the field, it's going to be Matt Beavis who starts on pole position ahead of Ryan Seltzer after an interesting qualifying, and as the pace car now takes its place, getting ready to leave the line. Getting ready, and here we go, moving away from the grid then, and it will be Matt Beavis who starts on pole position ahead of Ryan Seltzer. Ali Ferry and Charles Baccio will be starting on row 2. Row 3, Charles Baccio and Christian Moreau. Row 4, Dan Long and Joseph Wright. Row 5 is Sherwin van der Sloot and Matt Legale. Row 6 will be Campbell Wallace and Mike Davies. Row 7, Christopher Beavers and 80 Centres. Jamie Brooks and Steve Legale, 15th and 16th, or 16th and 14th and 15th. 16th will be Matt Wright, 17th will be Tom Watts, 18th will be Enric Andre, Tom Lambert will be starting 20th, and 19th and 20th will be Douglas Simonelli. But as we make our way now through underneath the bridge on the Wennington Strait, of course the important thing to note is that we do use the new pits around here at Silverstone, and it's quite a long lap, and it will be an interesting race. 62 laps, would you believe, around here. It's longer than the Grand Prix here, the British Grand Prix itself, so it's going to be an interesting prospect. And as we make our way up towards the past the national pits, as they are now dubbed, old pit lane as it might be affectionately known. Everyone just making their way around. Not much weaving going on so far. They're trying desperately not to put too much strain into those tyres. And of course we've got Matt Beavis in the MK Sim Sport car, the mighty 4th of Ryan Seltzer, Ali Ferry in the Kobutsu Racing car as well. We'll be starting on the red walled tyres, whilst Charles Baccio, Christian Moreau and Joseph Rice in the top 8 will be starting on the white walls effectively. Dan Long in 7th, 6th, also running on those red tyres. Sharon Van der Sloot also running on those red tyres. So it's going to be an interesting one of driver strategy, tyre strategy, pit stops. It's all going to come into play, and we do all love the good British weather. But set to as it is today, I imagine it is, it will be a lovely sunny race, very warm, plenty of grip, plenty of opportunity. But as they make their way up towards the final couple of corners, and they will make their way up towards the final couple of corners. Into Stowe they come. Pace car will pile in the pit lane in just a moment's time. And then once the pace car is in, we'll be able to get underway. And Matt Beavis will control the pace 2x2 formation as they make their way up towards the chicane and through the final corners. He's going to have to let everyone bunch up next to him, as the green flag might not be given if they don't. We're about to get underway for the 4th race of 2017, the Race Department Grand Prix Championship. The green flag has been given. Matt Beavis has got a decent start, but meanwhile Charles Baccio is going to force his way at the inside of turn number 1. Definitely try and take but for third place. Didn't quite work in the end though, so does remain in third place for the time being. It did look like there's some contact further behind as we come into the farm loop for the first time. Matt Beavis though has definitely cleared away by a good couple of car lengths. Ali Ferry goes 3 wide at the moment though. Who's he got beside him? He's got Joseph Wright, I think. No, he hasn't. He's got Christian Moreau and Dan Long trying to go around the outside up towards the next couple of cars. And there's a spin there. That was Davies who'd spun at the exit of Brooklands and into Woodcote. And that also means Tom Watts has had a spun. It looks like the safety car has been called for. Safety car has been called for. He's on track. So, bearing in mind, that's all sort of confused us really, hasn't it? So we'll wait for everyone to get back into position. Hopefully we'll get the safety car in eventually. But for now, that was the most interesting and most dramatic start I've seen to a race since 3 o'clock this morning. 3 o'clock this afternoon, rather. For those of you, let's briefly talk about it. Of course, no spoilers here, please, for those who are coming away from the hashtag #LeMans24, because I'm also commentating, you see, so you can see what I'm doing here. But of course, over on racedepartment.com, we do have a nice community chat area where we have loads of people discussing the great race itself, currently in the process of running, and with something happening to someone and something else happening to someone else. We can never really tell what's going to happen, so if you want to go and have a bit of a chat with everyone, see what's going on, definitely be interested to see what you guys have to say. Meanwhile, the safety car is out, and hopefully we do get a new partner in the country very soon, but we will have them in very shortly. So this isn't an interesting one, because I think the drivers have already done one lap without a safety car. We got 3 or 4 corners through without not having a safety car. Safety car stays out for another lap, so I'm going to have to fill even more time. So it's going to realistically be a 59 or 60 lap race if you take off the pace lap as well as the safety car. So Tom Lambert comes into the pit lane, So he must have either sustained damage through the first lap, and in fact he is running without a front wing, so evidently he has. Also coming into the pit lane is... Oh, there's been contact behind the safety car. Enric Andre has gone into the back of Matt's right under the safety car. My goodness me, what has happened here? Coming over the line, it's starting to accelerate, and then notice far too late. Probably did go onto the brakes, but by that point it was too late, and poor old Matt's right has lost his rear wing. Well, sustained all sorts of problems as well. Enric Andre now out, so 80 Sintas was the other man who was in the pit lane. But yeah, so Enric Andre now out of the race, so he's not been able to get going underway, which is a massive shame to see anyone retiring from a race, but especially that early on, and a bin for Matt Wright at the very back of the field due to the fact he has got a quite a coherent lack of downforce. Even putting on a slight bit of power and pushing the car a bit too much can really unsettle these things. They are this aero dependent. So making their way now around, and with a bit of luck the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. Okay, so the safety car will definitely be coming in at the end of the lap, which is all good really, because I'm sure you can agree with me, Davey, we'd all much rather see the real racing than sitting behind a safety car for a little bit of time, eh? Meanwhile, let's quickly assess what else is going on. Because beyond the damage to Matt's right, nearly goes into the back of Tom Lambert. Who of course he'll be pulling into the pit lane at the end of this lap, I can imagine, because no veering around here is not a fun time. And coming through Magnus Beckett at a much more slower pace compared to what one might normally try to carry around there, but of course the safety car knows what he do. Matt Beavis is closing into the back of the safety car as much as he can, as big a gap as possible between himself and Ryan Seltzer, who isn't closing in. And this kind of gapping is not what you want to see, because for the rest of the pack it's only going to slow them up. So everyone needs to close in as much as they can, and once they have, we will then get a underway. So through Stowe they come, and as they come through Stowe and up towards the final chicane to start the race proper, I would imagine. And as they come through the final couple of corners, Matt Beavis has got a decent enough gap, and as he pulls up the power now, Ryan Seltzer's going to have an absolute mare as he comes towards the line. Can't accelerate before the line, they've got to let everyone close in, and as he crosses the timing beat now, some people trying to go too wide. Over the line they go now, the race gets underway proper, and it looks like Ali Ferry's made up a position on Baccio to go into third place, as they stream their way through the next couple of corners, or the farm complex for the first time. Matt Beavis makes greatest escape, second place for Seltzer, third place is all up in the air at the moment. Ferry's got third, fourth place is going to go to Dan Long. Is someone else? That's Christian Moreau, who's spun around a few people more getting contact up at the farm complex, three wide at certain parts of the corners, and another spinner there. That's Jamie Brooks, who got a tag on the exit of the corner. Matt, who does get on the way back in 18th position, but now Ali Ferry's closing in quite quickly onto the back of Ryan Seltzer as they come up towards Cox for the first time. Dan Long definitely wants to take fourth away from Baccio. Is he going to try and do it up the inside into Cops? Thinks better about it, goes quite deep actually through Cops, so we'll have to bear with him, but Matt Beavis has made the best start he could and is definitely going to be in the lead of this race for quite some time with the intent he has just shown us then. Meanwhile, everyone else streaming through. Magnus and Beckett in the complex for the first racing time. Dan Long desperately trying to make a move up the inside of Baccio, coming through Stowe. And you see Baccio is moving his car about quite a lot. Late last gunge up the inside. Yes, he does. Almost makes contact between himself and Baccio. But Dan Long does have to back out of that. Wasn't quite going to work, even if he was trying. But Matt Beavis has got a gap of 1.7 seconds on everyone else. Ryan Seltzer now up into second place, third for Ali Ferry. Fourth place for Charles Baccio. And no, it's not. It's fourth place for Dan Long, who does make a move up the inside, coming into the first part of the farm complex. The cutback's going to try and work for Baccio, though. He had the traffic and Matt Wright, though. So Dan Long up into fourth place, fifth place then for Charles Baccio, sixth for Sherwin van der Sloot, seventh Christian Moreau, eighth for Tom Watts, ninth Matt Legale, 10th will go to Mike Davies, 11th Steve Legale, 12th place is going to be Tom Lamberts, but Campbell Wallace is going to try and make a late move coming into the next sequence at Brooklands and Woodcote. They go side by side, drivers left hand side for Campbell, drivers left, and didn't quite work. He loses out 12th place that battle then, Eta Sintez all over 13th, but is important at the moment. Joseph Wright dropped back significantly down to 15th. He was one of the big losers from that first safety car, followed by Chris Beavis in 16th. 17th is Douglas Simonelli and Jamie Brooks in 18th place after coming into the pit lane thanks to that first lap contact. Of course, Matt Wright in 19th place, and that is your order at the moment as they come up towards the line for what will be lap 5 or lap 4. And the battle for 7th and 8th is Christian Moreau and Tom Watts, looking very racy indeed as they come through Stowe, but Tom Watts is falling slowly into the traps of Matt Legale, who had a great race this morning, slash this afternoon, slash this evening, slash whatever time it was for you, in the Rest Manual Touring Car Championship. Matt Beavis with the fastest lap, 1 minute 38.092, 1.8 seconds the gap between himself and Ryan Seltzer. And oh, Christian Moreau's gone round! Christian Moreau has spun, coming through turns 1 and 2. Quick look at what's happened here. Grabs the apex, the rear end steps out, just carrying too much entry speed, I think. And that was all that Christian needed to do. And that spat him round, lost out a good 2 or 3 positions, and now down into 14th position. Also round has gone Christopher Beavis, so he's now into 16th place in the number 69 car. There we go then, the battle for 10th place is looking very racy at the moment between Steve Legale in 11th. He had got Tom Lamberts ahead of him and he still does, but that gap's extended there so slightly. Campbell Wallace is certainly looking for a move up the inside. He moves to the right hand side of the circuit, they go side by side. There's a smoking engine up ahead of us, and Dan Long, is his engine going to expire? His dirt's definitely dropped back a significant amount, so he maybe has engine problems. But coming up towards Maggers and Beckett, they go too wide. Oh, there's been a nudge of contact, and Campbell Wallace has gone straight into the barrier at the same place that Johnny Kane did in the Blancpain Endurance Series race a month or so ago, for anyone who gets that reference. Sadly too wide into Maggers, who tried to go to a late move at the inside. Realistically, there wasn't much room there to begin with. By the time that it was committed, there was no room. Small tag and wham bam straight into the barrier, so Campbell Wallace retiring from this race. So we've lost Simonelli now as well. Let's see what happens to him. Ali Ferry though, fastest lap on that last lap, 137.479, which is much quicker. It's at least a good half a second or so quicker than Matt Beavis. The gap is still 4.1 seconds, but Ryan Seltzer, a late move into Brooklands on the left hand side of the circuit, takes the apex. If Ferry can keep side by side, he's going to take the move up the inside though for Woodcote, the right hander. Does take it side by side on the exit, and Seltzer just gets the better run, which benefits him massively. Up towards Cox, he can't make a move surely, can you, Ali? No, he doesn't, he has to back out of it. Seltzer carrying more apex speed but more exit speed for Ali. Don't go side by side through Maggers and Beckers. It's very hairy, very tongue in cheek, touch and go moments. But the battle for 6th place was looking quite good, but now Matt Legale has dropped back ever so slightly. Dan Long is still out there and running, so maybe the smoke was from someone else. But Steve Legale is now up into 10th place. Christian Moreau down to 11th, and that's courtesy of staying on the circuit, and you can get some good position. So Campbell Wallace has now dropped out of this race, I'm being told. In fact, yes, he is into the pit lane and in his pit box. We've lost a few people on these last couple of laps. So lap 7 out of 63, or 6 racing laps completed. And Jamie Brooks now up into 16th position. Still looking rather close at the moment. Second place still looking very good indeed between Seltzer and Ferry. Through the next set of corners they go, up towards the Wellington Straight and onto Brooklands, the left-hander. It's a difficult one, you've got to break in a straight line, but you've got to really turn it in to take a late sweeping apex. Gently tickle the apex as opposed to Woodcote, where you need to be more vigorous with the through the next set of corners, over the start finish line for the old pit straight. And as I'm being told, P4 now. Carlos Baccio in 4th. 5th place for Tom Watts in the number 27 car. That is the SSKM car, which is definitely not MK Simsport subsidiary at all. But as they come through the Beckett's complex, closing in, not enough. Baccio running out onto the grass, and so goes Tom Watts as well, but he's going to get a much better run. He's all over the back of Charles as he comes up towards the final handful of corners into Stowe, and that certainly doesn't do much to change the positioning so far, but it's going to be very close. Matt Beavis consistently staying quick. 130.4 or 138.4 is actually slower, 4/10 slower than Ryan Seltzer in second place, but with a gap of 2.9 seconds to the race leader. Ryan has got some work to be doing, and Baccio now starting to really close in a few people, because Tom Watts and Sherman van der Sloot are getting very close to the back of Charles. Up towards Brooklands they come on lap 8 out of 63, and threading their way through the left-hander. Sherwin is very good in these cars, he's been showing just how well he can run. Tom Watts running quite deep though, and with a little bit of luck he is going to try and close in the gap, knocking down a few of those corner markers up towards Brooklands. Through Cops they come, and Tom just can't really do anything about closing in at this moment in time. So everyone starting to settle into a rhythm. Jamie Brooks has finally caught up to Christopher Beavis. Tom Lambert's now back into the pit lane with no front wing. We'll have to see what happened here, but that can wait for another time. Matt right now comes to 17th place, so we've currently lost 3 races. Campbell Wallace, Douglas Simonelli and Enrique Andre already. Matt Beavis with 9 out of 63 laps completed, or 8 laps out of the 62 racing laps anyway completed, with a 3.9 second gap. Ryan Seltzer dips into the 37s, 137.9, which is actually 6/10 quicker than Matt Beavis on that last lap. But Matt Beavis still in the lead, he is starting to close in slightly, and Ali Ferry cannot sustain the pace he did have just a few laps ago. A 38.4 for him means he's not going as quickly as he was even a little while ago. Who is going quickly though? Tom Watts. Charles Baccio is having to close in significantly, and as they thread their way once again through the complex of Brooklands and then at the hairpin at Woodcote. But as they make their way over the old start finish line now, this time it's certainly making everything quite interesting. The left and the right, and then the left and then the right again through the Magnuson Beckett's complex. You need to make sure you get that absolutely now, because if you don't, you are going to lose that significant amount of time And Sherwin van der Sloot is really, really looking racy indeed as well behind Tom Watts. It's a three-car battle for fourth place. Up towards the final chicane they come. And Sherwin is determined to try and make inroads into Charles Baccio because, you know, you've got to try and do the best job you can. Every point counts. And if you're not scoring good points, you're going to be struggling just a little bit. Meanwhile, Matt Beavis has started to pick up the pace again. 138.2 as Sherwin now has a half spin on the exit of Farm. And Matt Legale in 7th place is going to close right into the back of him. Not quite close enough to make much of a difference, but he is closing significantly now. And Matt Beavis, who was on that last lap, 38.2, was much quicker than 38.8 for Ryan Seltzer and 39.8 for Ali. So potentially, Ali's tyres could they be going off? Could it just be a case of overdriving the car and really wearing out those tyres? That question and more for Ole, who has now come to join us in the commentary box. Thank you very much, Ole, for starting the race, but it seemed like you caused the safety car.
Yeah, the server was set up with the old settings. We weren't prepared for that. It was an extra safety car lap then. It turned out quite well anyway, I think.
You certainly had me confused when I was trying to call the start, and then obviously I saw safety car board and I thought, hang on, why is everyone going so slowly?
Yeah, I realized it at the moment I started the safety car that it would be another safety car lap by the game itself, and that I had to get out of the car as soon as possible to not cause any penalties. I think that worked pretty well anyway. So it's a bit frustrating though, or more than a bit frustrating. I like to have things perfect, and this wasn't perfect, so I'm hoping to see the last 55 laps of the race, and hope that they are going to be perfect.
Well, it's certainly turned out into an interesting race so far. Charles Baccio in 4th place did manage to keep his position because Tom Watts, coming through the final couple of corners, just lost rear traction, and that's slowly bringing him back into Sherwin van der Sloot. So it's going to be an interesting strategic race. The battle for 9th place still raging on for Steve De Galle, and as I say that, he does block up and goes a bit wide, so I won't mention driver names again. But with Christian Moreau starting to slowly breathe down his neck, the battle for 9th and 10th is hotting up, certainly, Ole.
Yeah, it is. And I'm hoping to see a battle for 9th, 10th and 11th. It seems like Aitor is pretty close as well.
Aitor is, as they... well, there we go. Thank you very much, Brian, for letting me know. For Ali Ferry, do apologise. Ali Ferry, of course, she is, well, a she as opposed to a he, so I do apologise. So coming through the final sets of corners for those guys and girl up at the front. Anyway, let's move along from my poor pronunciation. And meanwhile, Christopher Beavis has had a spin on the exit of the final corner. Okay, let's determine how this happened. Too much power through the final corner, putting too much steering lock in, and just going a quite nice 360 actually. I'll give him a good 7 out of 10 for that one. But certainly on the exit of the final corner, that's not something you want to be doing often, and he's actually had another half spin up at Farm, so he's going to rejoin, jump right over the sausage curbs and just in the line, racing line. That's not nice to see, but nonetheless tries to get out of the way of everyone, and will continue then on his merry way. But nonetheless, Joseph Wright now into retirement, so we've lost Joseph Wright in 14th place. We'll try and have to determine why that happened. But nonetheless, as they make their way now around next. So P9 is a battle that's going on as well. So Steve De Galle and Christian Moreau, we were mentioning them just a few moments ago. And as they come up towards Brooklands now, a big locker from Steve on his front left tyre. Christian Moreau, of course, on the different sets of tyres compared to Steve. Steve's running quite deep into Woodcote. That's going to let Christian come through and sneak his way up on driver's right hand side, and he did a good enough job in order to get the position. that was quite a textbook move, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was a really good move, and I thought that Steve might have the chance to get a good exit. Even though we went wide, I thought it would have a good exit, but it didn't.
And as you say, nonetheless, it's lost in one position, and he's dropped back a good couple of car lengths as well. Coming up towards Stowe, though, it's a good place to get a good run. We've seen this earlier on in the race, that if you get a decent run up here, you can challenge coming into the chicane. So Steve's main consideration is to try and not drop off the back of Christian Moreau, as we have Tom Watts has come into retirement, so that's a shame for him. Mike Davies now with no front wing coming into the pit lane, and I'm also happy to say we have yet another friend in the commentary box, Joseph White.
Hello.
So do explain your retirement, my friend.
Well, I was running really close behind Steve, and I thought, okay, I can make a move. And I was behind him for a couple of laps, and I thought, okay, I can get past maybe at the end of Maggots and Beckett. So I closed up right close to him. The rear end just wobbled a little bit, so I had to correct my wheel. And that meant I ran to the right-hand side onto the grass. And I didn't realise there was a massive wall straight between what you could do as a straight line through Maggots and Beckett. So I just slammed straight into the wall, and my engine died.
Well, there we go. We must be seeing a lot of that today, because we've lost Tom Watts now as well, which is a shame. And certainly, even in these early stages of the race, we've lost a few more people than we would consider normal. But it is turning out to be an interesting race with those who are still battling it out on circuit.
Yeah, with that being said, Ryan Seltzer have been faster than Matt Beavis at the top for the last 3 laps now, and Alex Ferry is also closing in on Ryan, so the top 3 is closing together.
The gap was at around about 5 seconds between Matt Beavis and Ryan Seltzer, but it is now down to 1.5 seconds. The gap for 5th place, though, between Matt Legaling and Sherman van der Sloot, also very close indeed as they come through turns 1 and 2. Up towards the farm, can Sherman make a late move up the inside? He gets a bit of a lock-up for his consideration, but he's going to try and go side by side into farm, and then the next left-hander. And a big wiggle on. Is that the tyre? Do you think that's the tyres starting to work their way in, Joseph?
By this point in the race, yeah, tyres are definitely going to become a factor. Definitely if you've already made a spin somewhere on the circuit, because the moment you spin, that's about 5-6% of your tyres already dead.
And Sherwin did have a late look up the inside coming into Brooklands. He had to back out of it, couldn't really make it stick. Certainly is trying now, and another big wiggle on. So we see with 13 laps of this race completed, plus a formation lap, of course, that the tyres are starting to get a bit old, these red striped tyres. I noticed, Joseph, you started on the white wall tyres. Why was that decision?
Well, I was going on to the harder compound because the softer ones were just going to die within about 14-15 laps for me. I was having trouble as it was stretching the harder compound all the way to a fuel stint, which is for me 21 laps. And I think it's actually quite adventurous for a lot of people to go for the softer tyres. It's a lot what they were running in qualifying. That's probably why they have a little bit extra pace at the beginning of the race. It's because these tyres, the softer compound, can gain you 2-3 seconds every single lap compared to the harder compound. So they're probably doing a strategy where they want to go as fast as they can for as long as they can, even if it means an additional pit stop.
And Matt Beavis is surely going to have to be starting to think of this now. His last lap time, a 39.7 compared to a 38.5 for Ryan Seltzer. So earlier, I think it's just turning out to be quite an interesting little race.
Yeah, I think so too. It's really heating up at the front, and Sherwin is. Oh, sorry, my game just lagged a little bit. And Sherwin is losing out a bit now to Matt for the 5th place.
He is certainly trying the best he can. We got Matt Wright, your new teammate, Joseph, into the pit lane. So, how is it, the experience having a new teammate as well?
It's interesting to actually be in TeamSpeak for a little bit and actually have someone to talk to about what's going on around the circuit. Matt's not had the easiest of times adapting to these cars, however. He's adopting a new strategy, though, that we've discovered that might work better for him. He's been having a real troublesome time on the harder compounds, so he's going to get some more grip out of the softer ones, and that means he's probably going to do about half a stint, so half a few stints, maybe about 14 laps before coming into the pits every single time. And that strategy was made up on the go. We tried to do something well, but yeah, Matt's not really feeling this circuit with this car. Hopefully it will go a little bit better at Suzuka.
And of course, he had that altercation with Enric Andre on the second lap when he went into the back of him coming into the safety car. So I suppose that must have put a spanner in the works as well.
Oh, immediately, that's what put him a lap down. Originally, it's also meant that he's actually got permanent damage for the rest of the race. His rear end is kicking out like nobody's business because the rear end is already damaged from where he got hit. So he's having a fight, not only a car that he's not had the most experience in, he's only had this week to learn it. He's also having to combat all of the oversteer that damaged rear end is going to give him.
Meanwhile, the battle for 5th and 6th is still getting very close indeed. Matt Legale barely holding on to 5th place behind Sherman van der Sloot. Had a good couple of looks, went side by side over the start-finish line. It didn't quite work though, so Sherman does remain for now in 6th place, but the intention is certainly there. Matt Legale running deep, coming through Woodcote and also into Brooklands, is not going to be helping him any bit, I suspect. Meanwhile, the top 3 covered by under 3 seconds now, which we have not seen in some time. 1.7 seconds is the gap between Matt Beavis and Ryan Seltzer. And again, it just seems to be that Ryan seems to be running 4 or 5 tenths a lap quicker than Matt.
Yeah, and Ali is heading to the pits.
Okay, there we go.
She is the first to pit of the top 3.
That's quite a bold decision then, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess she's hoping to get on a new set of soft tires and have a greater speed so she can leapfrog them during the pits.
It'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, pitting this early though, it definitely means that you're going to have to do an additional pit stop. I mean, Matt could push it to where he only needs to stop twice this race, but pitting this early, Ali may have to pit 3 or even 4 times by the time it gets to the end.
Yeah, and Sherwin van der Sloot is also going to the pits on this lap.
Yep, so Sherwin in now as well. He's also on the red striped tyres. Do you think there'll be changes of compound as well as changes of tyres?
I think the main compound changes will probably come near the end of the race, depending on when people come into the pits. For example, if Matt comes in with only 10 laps to go, he's going to put on the softer compound tyres because there's no point putting on the hard compound. And I think that's really going to be it. When most drivers, when they go out onto that track, they have one compound in mind. It's what they've been running the entire practice session. It's what they're used to, and they're not going to change it right at the last moment.
It's going to be an interesting when you see the race pace does start to change out. And Ryan Seltzer has lost it coming on the exit of the Beckett's complex. He's had a half spin, going to continue, but that's going to be his tyres pretty much done. And that's going to lose him a good 5 or 6 seconds at the very least to Matt Beavis, so I suspect under that helmet will be breathing a sort of sigh of relief, I suppose, won't he?
Yeah, I would guess so. And Ryan will probably be fuming inside his helmet as well.
He doesn't come in this lap though, so maybe he's going to push it for one more to try and recover some of the position, but the gap is now 10.1 seconds, which is quite a lot to be dealing with. And Ali Ferry, she's now closing into the back of Charles Baccio. So Charles, who has yet to stop, Ali, of course, she did just a moment ago. Over the line, the pair of them come. That is for 3rd place on circuit. And that last lap for Ryan Seltzer, of course, 1 minute 47.790. That's not a particularly good lap time, I suppose, to see him doing.
No, and I think that Ali have to get past Charles Baccio pretty fast as well now.
Well,
if not, the whole idea behind the strategy will be gone.
Exactly. To try and get that undercut, you need to get away from traffic, and if you're stuck behind traffic for even a lap, that's really going to put a lot of strain on what you've been trying to do. So, I mean, that's exactly why you need to try and work as hard as you can in order to get past these people, and that's why she's in the tow with Baccio now, but this is going to be costing her. We're coming up to the higher downforce parts of the circuit as well, and you need that full aero. You can't be doing with the aero push you might experience when you sat behind someone as you come through now, and she's going to be absolutely hating this. She can't get past, the front end's going to feel like a boat pretty much, but she is going to try and get a decent run, but can't quite do it. So she's still going to be stuck behind Charles for a little bit longer, And as you say, this is really going to put pay to her efforts.
Yeah,
I mean-
this was exactly the thing she wouldn't want to happen at this point in the race.
Exactly. So, Charles stays out, which is to be expected. She's not made a move coming into the chicane unless she can get a fantastic run up towards turn 1. I don't expect to see a move made. She's not close enough. The farm hairpin, though, would be an interesting place to see if she did. But nope, she's not close enough and can't quite make the move yet. So that's going to be a struggle, I suspect, for her. Mike Davies is now retired with no rear wing. Catching the replay, he goes wide on the exit of the final part of the Magnus Pickles complex. Gets onto the grass. Only half lifts, tries to catch it, and my replay sort of goes behind the wall then, but looking at what happens, and he loses the back end, and a wheel comes off the car as well, so he loses his wheel as well as the rear wing.
Alice really closing up on Charles now. Going to the outside of the cops.
She's going to try around the outside. Is it going to work? It might just, but she's going to be pushed out wide. You need to leave space. And she couldn't do it. She just did not have the amount of grip and the run in order to take the position. So there we go. She's still going to stay in 4th place unless she makes a desperate dive on the final part of the Magnussen Beckers complex, which she doesn't quite sensibly. This is going to be costing her loads of time. She's like 16.5 seconds behind. She pulls the driver's left-hand side around the outside as Ryan Seltzer's going very slowly as he run out of fuel. He's going very slowly indeed, so Seltzer is overtaken and no front wing damage. What's happened? It looks like he comes out and, oh, he cuts out. His engine cut out. Spat him out and put him into the wall, which gave him a load of damage. And he might have engine damage now as well, as Matt Legalli into the pit lane from 5th. Just stops his car at the marker. And in fact, I don't think he hit the first marker, but hits the second one perfectly fine. So Ryan Seltzer at the very end of the pit lane is losing out a whole host of time.
Yeah, that was a very strange accident.
Maybe there was a disconnection with his wheel or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But
I've never seen anything like that before.
No, Joseph, it seemed like it just cut out, engage neutral, engage first, cut out again, engage rear, engage reverse. I don't think that would be brilliant, would it?
That would be an engine probably failure. He's going back again. So it's probably, he maybe slipped on a button. It's very easy to slip on a button which just totally cuts out your engine. And that may be what happens, because what you want in these cars is buttons binded to your engines, because it's very easy for them to die, definitely near the start of the race. And if you
Matt
accidentally...
Beavis in. Sorry to interrupt, but Matt Beavis, our race leader, in as we are at the third of the way through. But
So
yes.
20 laps, that's going to be about the pit stop. That means that he might only have to go 2 stops. He might pit near the end though, with maybe 5 or 6 laps to go, and that's going to be for the ultimates. So we may see that final sort of splash and dash at the end of the run, where he comes in for the soft compound.
Yeah, and Ali will pass him for the lead as well.
So Ali, despite being stuck behind Baccio for some time, has gotten past Matt Beavis as Charles Baccio straight lines the first corner and will definitely be ahead of Matt Beavis. So Matt Beavis now, who has still got those red tyres on, those red wall tyres on, is definitely going to try and get past as quickly as he can, but he isn't really that close enough anymore. He's certainly going to have to think about it and start pushing, because Ali, she's into the lead. And there we go. So that is roughly our order then, as Matt Legalli and Christopher Beavis into the pits. I'm being told at the moment. But it is Ali Ferry in the lead of the race ahead of Charles Baccio and Matt Beavis. Sherwin van der Sloot is in 4th, 5th for Matt Legalli, 6th for Christian Moreau, 7th for Ryan Seltzer, 8th is Steve Legalli, 9th is Aita Sintez, Christopher Beavis in 10th, and Matt Wright in 11th place. That is your running order at the moment, as Matt Legalli drops down to 7th place due to the pit stop he's just come out of. and with roughly a third of the race already gone, if you could believe that already, has proven to be quite an exciting one. And as we say, we're into the middle portion now where everyone just sort of calms down. They're not really near anyone on track. They just sort of settle into the rhythm of the race. They're focusing on not putting it into the wall, not driving off into the distance, not, you know, falling off whatever. So, there we go. It's going to be an interesting one for the next quarter, next third, of course. But do get in touch with us, let us know how you're enjoying the race at Race Department on Twitter and on Facebook, and also comment on our live streams. Do let us know. And the battle for P5 between Moreau and Seltzer now. It's looking very racy indeed. Through Max and Beckett's. And makes it up towards the next couple of corners, down onto the hanger straight and up towards Stowe. Ryan lost out some time due to the aero push coming through the fast corners. Ryan is definitely trying to eye up a move, and in fact into the pit lane comes Christian Moreau, so that puts paid to that battle. But gentlemen, what are your predictions for the next, say, third of the race?
So, my predictions are probably, I think that it's going to be interesting up front. What's going to happen between Matt Beavis and Charles Baccio? I think they're going to be able to maybe get a little bit closer, and they'll start battling away for second. But that's, if they do start battling, that's going to allow Ali to gain away. She's already 7 seconds down the road, so she's doing an amazing job here. Down in the midfield, though, I think really drivers are starting to get a little bit more into the rhythm, and most of the issues that we were going to have already happened. I think these drivers are now into their rhythm, and they're going to be able to get to the end of this race relatively cleanly, and maybe move up a couple of positions with, hopefully, with a few battles going on through that midfield.
And Charles Baccio is in the pits, so he releases Matt Beavis, which will help Matt immensely.
Which isn't that much longer. The stint was for him, I suppose, wasn't that much longer compared to everyone else. Only 24 laps, as opposed to 20-ish, some people getting out of the soft tyres. But anyway, so he rejoins the circuit in third place. And as they make their way now up and around the circuit, we can see the gap is 6.2 seconds at the moment between Ali Ferry and Matt Beavis. And we'll bring you some news in just a moment's time. But for now, as we say, it's a 7.9 second gap between Ali Ferry and Matt Beavis, with Charles Baccio, Sherwin van der Sleet in 4th, Ryan Seltzer in 5th after that earlier stint, Matt Legale 6th, 7th for Christian Moreau, Steve Legale 8th, 9th for Ato Sintez, and 10th for Christopher Beavis, with Matt Wright still running around in 11th place. And it's good to see that he is enjoying his run out there, even if it's not the most successful so far. To be in a race, you've still got to be able to finish a race, so that's always a critical one to do.
Yeah, and it does seem like the strategy change for Matt Wright has seemed to work out. He's much more stable now on the soft tires.
He does look to be much more comfortable.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. We get some miles behind the wheel and get ready for Suzuka.
And Suzuka, our next round, of course, is going to be another very interesting circuit. And I think myself and obviously Joseph as well, we might have some breaking news if you want to come out with it, Joseph.
Yes, I have just found out that Tom Watts, who currently sits third in our championship, retiring earlier on in this race, has just pulled out from the remainder of the season. That's Suzuka and Indianapolis, which means that he is no longer going to be in that fight for the lead, which is currently between Charles Baccio and, of course, Dan Long.
But of course, with Dan Long not actually finishing this race and Charles Baccio running in, where is he, in third place at the moment, it's going to be a good haul of points for him, isn't it? This is what he'll be wanting.
certainly with being tied at the moment with Dan Long on the championship, even any finishing position that's higher than a top 10, that's going to pull him away dramatically. With the point scoring system that we've got, a top 10 will automatically gain you about 30 points, I think it is. So he's going to pull a really comfortable lead out heading up towards Suzuka.
And with the run-in for the final rounds of the season, that's always going to be a benefit to any driver to get that advantage compared to everyone else.
Definitely, Suzuka means he's going to have an even bigger opportunity to pull away, but going into Indianapolis is going to be a double points race. So the gap that he pulls out here and at Suzuka is going to be very vital. If he makes one mistake at Indianapolis, which is very easy to do, that could be his championship down the bag.
Exactly. So continuing on with the race then, and of course Matt Beavis cannot just can't really find the pace, can he, compared to Ali Foe. The gap is still around about, what, 7 seconds? But it's fluctuating at the moment between 5 and 7 seconds. The way our timing screens work is they do it on a continuing updating cycle. So unlike where it does it sector by sector, it's now done by moment to moment. So while some moments it can be as little as 4 seconds, it then extends up to set 8 or 9. And then of course the median is whenever you come over the line. Ryan Seltzer comes over the line, sets a quick lap for him, 37.6, which isn't too far off the fastest lap of the race. And down in 5th place, he's going to be wanting to gain as much time as he can.
Yeah, and he should have the pace to catch up to Sherwin Panisot during the race if he doesn't make another mistake or have that random issue on the straight again.
But I do think, you know, that the gap is slowly coming down between Ali and Matt. Is it just me, or do I think it seems to be coming down quite a little bit every now and then?
Yeah, but I think Ali lapped Matt right last lap and might have lost a little bit on that.
That could be why. And that would be a very good explanation. There we go.
So, but Ali needs to be faster than Matt Beavis to be able to make the strategy work at the moment. And she is not. She needs to steadily pull out some tenths of a second each lap if she's going to pit one more time, or rather one time more than Matt Beavis.
And there we go then. So as you say, it's going to have to be, comes down to the pit stop, the pit stop strategy anyway. It's going to be an interesting one, as you say. So meanwhile, Matt Beavis coming through Cops, Ali Ferry coming through Mags and Beckett's. So we can see that it's all chopping and changing a little bit. And keeping up my live timing, it's an interesting one. I'm trying to see where the battles are starting to develop. 6 and 7 is looking to be what I suggest one of the closer battles on circuit. But it's not that close. It's just all. This is again comes to that midpoint in the race where everyone is just starting to do their own thing, and certainly just making sure they get the best possible run for themselves. We're nearing half distance though. It's everyone's just trying to get that, you know, it's getting to that point in the race. So let's engage in some kind of conversation. So Silverstone, Joseph, I imagine you've been doing quite a lot of testing. What is the combination like then? Silverstone with these Dallara DW12s.
It certainly is an interesting combination. In the first about 50-60 laps I put on the track, it was very difficult to get used to it. But I've been running now, I was running for about 3 hours before the start of the race. I put in about 200 laps. And by that point, I'd started to get into a rhythm. I started to know the circuit, and it started to feel really nice. It was, you had flowing corners, you had slow corners, and when you're in slipstream, running and getting past someone was so much fun. And with the different type of corners you have, definitely with the Maggots and Beckett's complex, you think you can overtake, and we saw that earlier on in the race. We saw someone try to go up the inside, I think that was with Steve Legale, and then there was contact. And it's like, you think you can make a move, but you can't, and that's why I love Silverstone. You have to learn the circuit. It's certainly not a track you can just get on and just know. It's all about for playing the next few laps of the race. What's going to happen? As you saw, I sat behind Steve Legallo for a few laps thinking, where can I make the move? Learn his weak spots. And I think that is a really good combination with Silverstone. I couldn't really do that Barber, because Barber's such a short circuit that you really have to go for the opportunity as soon as you can, otherwise you're going to get overtaken. And I think that's what makes Silverstone such a great track for this. Of course, at the start of the race, we had unfortunate incidents that meant a few drivers retired quite early on. But other than that, I mean, that's the most I've overtaken all season. I think I had about 6 or 7 overtakes after my spin with Christian Moreau. And that was just so much fun. And I think Silverstone definitely brings out some of the best racing. And I think it's going to be some of the best road course racing we're going to see all season.
Any thoughts, Ollie?
No, I completely agree with how the track is and how it creates opportunities with these cars.
It is a very interesting circuit to drive. Oh, a big slide there by Ali Ferry. That's not going to be helping her confidence, I can imagine, much. But
I think she is getting closer to the next pit stop. No, I thought she pitted on lap 13. It was lap 17 she pitted. So probably 5 or 6 more laps before she has to pit stop.
I can imagine it will be on her mind. So if we get into the next 3 or 4 laps, it will be time, I imagine, for her next pit stop. And it's interesting to note that we think it could be a 3-stop race. I would have thought it could have been a 2-stop race, but then again, then that's an interesting.
Yeah, listening to Joseph, I think that Ali might go for a 3-stop and Matt is going for a 2-stop.
Mm.
Yeah, I was definitely going to go run a 2-stop as well. I mean, if I could push it to 21 laps on my tyres, then immediately that would have been, okay, if I can do that in my second stint and my third stint, that's a 2-stop race. I'm going to gain, hopefully, enough time to maybe move myself up a position. That might be what Matt's trying to do here. He can run those tyres as absolutely far as he can and take the fuel as far as he can. With a one less pit stop, he's going to jump Ali.
But isn't that also a bit risky strategy? If there's a little thing that happens and everything is out of the window.
It's an extremely risky strategy. You've got to be almost perfect the entire race to be able to achieve that strategy. Your fuel, you're already, if you're going to push it to 21 laps, you're already going to have only half a lap of fuel remaining by the time you come into the pits, which is not exactly what you want to hear from your engineer. You haven't got enough fuel to complete the lap. And you come into the pit lane, your tyres are absolutely shredded. I know that I've done about 3 or 4 race stints now, and my front left goes down to about 20% on that 21st lap. So I know that Matt Beavis is pushing his car to the absolute limit with the fuel, with the tyres, and one slip up, and that's going to be the entire race just gone for him. But if you can get it perfect, you very much could jump Ali and take the win here.
Yeah, I know personally when I drive, I like to have a strategy that's a bit safer. It might not be the fastest at the end, but a strategy where I can do a little mistake and not have the strategy ruined.
Well,
so
I was going to say, Matt Beavis has had quite an unfortunate season so far, because at round 1, I unfortunately had an accident with him that stalled his engine. At round 2, he ran out of fuel within the final few laps, and that's very possible to what's going to happen tonight if he just doesn't fill up enough fuel in that last stint. And then last time out, he was taken out in the first incident of the night. And that's unfortunate that he's had such a poor running, because he is a fast driver. He is a really consistent driver. It's just that in the final few laps of the race, he seems to do something that isn't perfect, and that's where his strategy and that's where his race gets ruined.
There's going to be a tale of several different strategies. We are nearing now the half distance, I suppose, aren't we, with 30 laps completed, or on lap 30, so it's getting close, I would say, to the half distance mark. And this is where, again, you sort of, as a driver, Joseph, I can imagine, do you sort of sit there and think, oh, well, good, I've got halfway, I've only got halfway to go, or?
From the get-go, it's always about how many laps I've got to go. I never think, oh my god, I've got 62 laps of racing in front of me, this is going to take forever. I think, okay, 62 laps, that's only 3 stints, that's fine by me. Come to the end of the first stint, okay, 1 stint down, only 2 to go. I don't think about I don't count up, I always count down. I've got 62 to go, I've got 61 to go. And that way I'm always looking forward. Okay, I've got 60 laps to make this move, I'll take 60 laps to make this move, I'm not going to push it. Unfortunately, obviously, I had an incident where my rear end just got a little bit loose in the dirty air, and that's what we've been seeing all night. Your rear end just doesn't like being in the dirty air over the car in front of you. I lost it, went into the wall, and we've seen that for a number of drivers tonight.
We did. This is the interesting thing, of course, as you say, we have seen these drivers, as you say, making little mistakes in it. I suppose that getting a bit comfortable in the car when the grip does start to go down, if you're not keeping on top of it, that's when you start to make these little mistakes, and then they become big mistakes.
One small mistake early on in your stint is always going to lead to a big mistake near the end of the stint. Because if you slide that car just once through a corner, that's 2-3% of your tyres already gone. And if you're already on the limit, such as Matt Beavis will be with his tyres, if he has one little slide, that's immediately going to ruin his tyres at the end of his stint. That could lead to a spin, that could lead to damage, that could lead to the end of his race.
Yeah, and while on the subject of tyres, it does seem like Ali's tyres are going up. She's not as fast as she was earlier in the stint, when she was on low 138. Now she's on 39.3, 39.4. And I watched her in the last 2 laps. It's a lot of sideways driving, and you can see the car sliding around.
It's not as comfortable as it once was, I can agree to that.
Yeah, well, Ali did come in on about lap 17. Oh, trying to get around the outside of Matt. Oh, there's going to be contact. Ali's been pushed off.
And Christian Moreau as well also went wide, coming through Mags and Beckers. He made a mistake
Max
all
crashed
on his own.
Matt has gone off the circuit trying to move out the line, and he's jumped into the wall. There's a bridge.
Oh dear, that's going to really delay Ali as well. He's still elect to stay out. Christian Moreau as well also had a bit of a delay as well, and he is retired in fact as well. So we've lost another one. I'm not sure what I'm saying, because all I saw was exit stage right hit. Yeah, in fact, grabbed too much of the apex of the second left-hander, pulled the car, caught the grass, and of course went backwards into the barrier, and of course engine cuts out, and there goes your race.
Yep, exactly what happened to me. My engine just absolutely died, and unfortunately in these cars, the moment your engine dies, there's no way you can turn it back on. I think the only time I've seen an engine turn back on was with myself at Road America, where I ran out of fuel, filled back up on fuel, just got to the pit lane and was able to turn it back on again. Otherwise, these Indy cars, they don't like to be restarted.
Well, that's an interesting one. Do you think they should have, or for example, league racing purposes, have restart engine, or basically engine restarts?
The way that we combat the engine stalling is every single driver out on that circuit is running auto clutch, because if you spin and you don't have auto clutch enabled, your engine's dead. So every single driver has auto clutch enabled. That way, if you do spin, you keep your engine running. But if you have an accident, I went into that wall at about 150 kilometers, and that's the thing, if you crash at any more than 50, 60 kilometers an hour, in real life, yeah, your engine's going to die. And I think that adds to the realism here. I mean, we're only running 60% damage, so they do have still a little bit of leeway when they go into the wall. And unfortunately, in Christian Moreau, it was the rear end of the car that slammed into the wall, because that's where the engine's located. It's going to kill the engine, and that's exactly what happened. And I think that just adds to it. You want to be a lot safer. Unfortunately, a few of the drivers pushing it just a bit too far over the limits.
As you say, and 32 laps now into this race. We are pretty much we've gone past the half distance point now, so we can say the tyres will be starting to degrade that little bit more. And if I'm going to look at Ali Ferry's stint, she came in on, she did a 155.2 on lap 18. So what's 33 minus 18?
15.
Oh, there you go then. So,
if you think about the safety car lap at the start, she should come into the pit this lap or the next, I think, with regards to tyre wear.
Yeah, 16 laps with the actual running, and bearing in mind we also had that safety car the next lap. It means that, well, I know when I got started on that green flag after the safety car period, all my tyres were still at 100%. I had absolutely no wear at all. Obviously, Ali being on the slightly softer tyres means that maybe only lost 1% on that tyre wear. But that's still going to save her 1 or 2 laps on that fuel, on her running on that first stint. So she possibly is going to come in this lap, but her tyres must be falling off the cliff right now.
Well, it's not going to be a nice feeling in the car, I can definitely imagine that.
Now, the car likes to understeer anyway through most of the fast corners,
And
here she
she's
comes
in,
into the pits.
Ali Ferry then into the pit lane. And I'm not sure, is that first line where the pit limiter needs to start, or is it the second line?
Yes, it's the first one right next to the arm cover on the driver's left-hand side.
Well, there we go then. I noticed a few people pushing it a bit far, but I wasn't sure whether that one was the one or the second one. But of course, Matt Beavis does continue. His tyres are a few laps newer, but still not going to be in a particularly great position. She does exit her pit box, rejoins the race, and she's going to be 13, 14 seconds behind. So that gap, is it going to be enough? Not quite enough, but it's going to be close anyway.
Obviously, Ali's got to deal with cold tyres on this outlap, but Matt Beavis is going to be on almost dead tyres as Sherwin van der Sloot comes in from 4th position.
So as you... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, Sherwin's actually mirroring Ali's stint setup here. So coming in at the same time on the first pit stop and coming in the same time in the second one. So I think on those softer compound tyres, 16 laps is what you want to run.
And Steve Legale now into the pit lane from 8th place as well. So the next round of pit stops are definitely on, I would suggest. Meanwhile, as we make our way now, what's the gap going to be between... We have to cycle through. Obviously, Ali Ferry just coming out of the Magazine Beckett's complex. Matt Beavis does stay out for another lap, so he's going to definitely try and push out his gap to as far as he can feasibly make it. The gaps come down to about 10 or so seconds. That's not what he wants to see. 13.5 at the end of the lap after being 14.8 at the start of it. So he's really got to push as quickly as he can, because Ali, she's only going to get quicker and quicker.
And you can see that Matt definitely is trying to aim for that one less stop, or at least go for that softer compound near the end. But if Ali's able to catch up, it will completely ruin Matt Beavis' running on the tyres for a longer period of time. Because if he's running now for 20 laps on each set of tyres, just to save a pit stop, and then Ali Ferry catches up anyway, that entire tyre saving mode that he's probably going into right now is going to be all for nothing.
Exactly. That's going to be an interesting stint, as Matt Beavis took an interesting racing line coming through the Woodcote there. Wasn't quite sure why, but he definitely went to sort of the where the pit boards would be, up by the side of the National Pit Straight. Through on the exit of the Magazine Beckett's complex he comes now. Ali Ferry just about to come into Magazine Beckett, so what's that going to be, 12 seconds? It's telling me it's about 10.5 to 11 seconds between Matt and Ali. And this is something where you really do not want to be panicking too much about, because if you do overthink it, because Matt stays out again, so... Oh, and we've got someone off in the background, that's coming on the exit of Cops.
That's Matt
it looks
Wright.
like Matt's right again, who's sadly come off. Sherwin van der Sloot now exits the pit lane, and Matt Legale is going to be all over the back of him. So there's a good little battle that looks like it's going to emerge for for 5th and 6th.
That must have been a very long pit stop for Sherwin though, because he came in at maybe about 5 seconds after. Oh, not 5 seconds. So yeah, 5 seconds before Steve Legale. Sorry, and Steve Legale came out of the pits about 20-30 seconds earlier.
Matt makes a late move coming up the inside, coming into Brooklands. Can he quite get it stopped? No, he can't. He's struggling massively as he tries to get through. And as we've seen before, you just use the better pace of being out there to your advantage, because if you can't use that, you're only going to get stuck. And as the tyres come up to temperature, as the tyres make their way up into the temperature, it's only going to get quicker and quicker and quicker, isn't it? And Matt seems to have slowed anyway, so... that will be the interesting one. We'll see as they come on the exit now and up towards the next couple of corners. And it looks like they're almost about to get lapped by Matt Beavis. So as we head, he's currently on lap 37 out of 63, or 36 out of 62. Is he going to come into the pit lane anytime soon? I imagine he will do. It doesn't on this lap still, so Ali, the gap is 8.3 at the last one. So Ali is using her fresher tyres to her advantage. And it will look... It's going to be an interesting race for sure, especially if Ali can keep up the pace she's demonstrating at the moment. And in fact, let's compare the last laps between Matt and Ali. Because if I say it's a 140 for Matt last lap, 137.7 for Ali. She's just going so much quicker at the moment.
Yeah, it does seem like Matt had hit a cliff with his tires.
He's getting loads of understeer coming through Luffield as well.
Yeah, he's lost a second per lap over the last 4 or 5 laps. He's probably really struggling with the tires. I don't think he's driving a second lap slower on purpose to try to save the tires. I think he's nearing the end of the life of the tires now.
Well, he needs to come in the next 2 moments, because if he doesn't, it's going to be an absolute disaster, I suggest. He's just losing time over fist.
At the same time, if he pits now, he will need to pit once more, I think, before the race ends. And then his whole strategy is gone as well. He probably needs to try to stretch it as far as it possibly can do, and then...
Does continue though, he does continue his pace, doesn't he? He does continue staying out.
Yeah, I do think that's his only choice at the moment in his effort to beat Ali and win the race. He needs to stay out for 3 or 4 more laps before he can come into the pit and set on the hard tires.
That is true, maybe that's the strategy he's going for, but then there's the benefit of if Ali still needs to pit for another time, then, as you say, if you've got to be in it to win it, so it's just about being patient and not risking too much time. But you've got to be concerned now that you are losing arguably too much time.
Yeah, but I think if he pits now, he needs to pit one more time anyway, and then he will be 15-20 seconds behind Ali, whatever it does. But if he takes the gamble, like it looks like he's doing now, he can possibly beat Ali. Probably not, but it is a possibility. And Charles is so far behind in third that he doesn't risk his second place anyway. But this is his only shot at winning, so I think it's a good idea to go for it at the moment. It will probably not work out, but at least he's giving it everything he have.
Joseph, what do you reckon?
Nothing at the moment.
We'll come back to Joseph when he has an opinion. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But yes, so Matt again, he still stays out. He's on. This is on his 39th lap. He's about to start that 40, and if he can go 2 more laps, he's only now 2 seconds slower than Ali Ferry. So the gap is closing in. But on those harder tyres, he's not going to be as quick, but he will have the benefit of being able to run till the end. It's about not unleashing her, and if she does catch back up, then he's going to have to start really holding her up.
Yeah, but looking at the first stint as well, he was driving 139 laps all the time until he pitted on the harder tires, slower tires. So if he's able to keep that speed in the last stint, he will probably gain a few seconds on Ali when she's running at the end of the tire life, because she's almost always going up to the 140s at the end of her stints when the tires are getting worn. And that will help Matt a bit as well.
Of course, and Matt's been in the 40s and the 39s for just a few lap times as well, so...
And of course, the chance is that Ali will catch up to Matt when it's 8 or 9 laps left of the race, but then her tires will be slightly worn as well, and she have to get past him, and that's not easy either when both are as quick as they are.
And interestingly enough, Ali seems to have dropped off on her original pace. She's still running. She was in the 37s for a few laps, but she's dipped now into the 38s and the 38s basically, which won't be that comfortable for her, I can imagine, knowing that she's not quite as quick as she was even a few laps ago.
No, and as I said, looking at the earlier stints, that's usually what happens to Ali. And then she does 5-6 laps on 138, and then she's going down to the, or up rather, up to the 139s.
And Matt Beavis is having to negotiate traffic. He's got right ahead of him, and does manage to get through as he came out to the pit lane. Did manage to dive out of the way in the end, but it was a bit hand in mouth then for just a second. But as we say, it is continuing and carrying on. We have only got 22 laps of this race left to go. Or 23 laps of this race left to go. We're getting slowly to the end, and it has been an interesting race to watch the dynamic between all of the guys out there.
Yeah, and I must admit I didn't expect the different strategies to be as tight as they are in the top. I think that's a whole another dimension to this race that, well, I didn't expect at all, and I think it's quite interesting to see in the end what works out and who's able to take care of the tires the best.
Tyre management's always been a big thing in the Race Department Grand Prix Championship, as Matt Beavis into the pit lane again. So, in fact, there we go. This is the confirmation. It is time for a set of the white walls.
Yeah.
Ali Ferry will be unleashed, but what's the kind of gap she's going to get? She's already gone very wide and got a bit of a slide on through the final corner.
Matt Beavis doing his second pit stop this soon, though, means he's definitely going to have to do an additional one at the end. His fuel isn't going to be able to take him to the end, so there must be a splash and dash involved.
Are you sure about that?
23 laps to go, and he might be able to push his fuel to maybe 22, but I don't think he'll be able to do it to 23. Certainly not the tyres anyway, because he has only been running those tyres to 20 laps both times. So if he's now decided to do a 23 lap run, he's going to lose the time to Ali anyway when his tyres are absolutely falling off the cliff in those final 3 laps if he stays out.
Yeah, regarding fuel, in the car you have the fuel mixture you can change during the race.
It's very true that you can, but again, it's those tyres. Both times he's run 20 laps on the tyres, and if he's now going to plan to run 23, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He might try, but like I say, one little mistake and your tyres are already down 3-4%, and that's going to knock it down into the very dangerous levels of less than 20%, specifically on that front left tyre.
I think that's interesting. I think this is quite exciting then. I really like the gamble. I like to think that Matt is not stopping again and he's risking it all to try to get the win. Because he will not be able to win if he's stopping again.
Certainly it's going to be very close if he can take that car all the way to the end now. It's going to be whether or not he can keep the tyres saved up enough that he will be able to combat Ali Ferry on the soft compound after she comes in for her third and final stop. Yeah,
and also Ryan Seltzer just pitted and came out straight behind Sharon van der Sloot. So that's probably going to be a good fight for
fourth place.
Fourth, thank you.
And
I think he pitted, or did he spin? Yeah, he pitted.
Yeah, we'll wait for that development to come out as he can, as we will and do. The gap is only around about 15 seconds at the most between, obviously, Matt Beavis and Ali Ferry, and the benefit is, of course, Ali's tyres are much less fresh than Matt's. Of course, her last lap 38.8, so she is losing that lap time ever so slowly, but she is critically losing it. So yeah, as mentioned, the battle between Sharon van der Sloot and Ryan Seltzer is starting to develop. It's going to close in, but it wasn't as close even as it was a few minutes ago as he came out of the pit lane. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, as we say. But just to recap then, it is Ali Ferry in the lead of the race ahead of Matt Beavis, who just came in to the pit lane to put on a new set of... in fact, he's on the red striped rubber. That's an interesting one.
So he's definitely going to have to make an additional pit stop. So what he's realised now, he might be what I was thinking. He's not going to be able to take the fuel all the way to the end, or at least that tyre. So he may be running now 2 of these compounds, 2 of the softer compound, and trying to use that to cane up to Ali. There's 16 seconds between them. It's going to be a hell of a push from Matt, but there is definitely going to be another pit stop from him.
Of course, so Ali Ferry then ahead of Matt Beavis. Charles Baccio, of course, our championship leader, is sat in 3rd place so far and set to get a good haul of points ahead of Sherwin van der Sleet and Ryan Seltzer. In 5th, 6th place is Matt Legalle as Matt right back into the pits. 8th is Sintes in 7th, 8th of course Steve Legalle, 9th is Christopher Beavis and 10th is Matt Wright. We've lost a whole host of runners due to various issues early on in this race, but nonetheless we are still enjoying a fantastic race here at Silverstone for round 4 of the Race Department Grand Prix Championship. We've only got 20 laps left to go, and it's all going to get a bit touch and go now, I suspect.
Yeah, with this many laps gone already, 42 laps of racing gone, I have to admit, I do quite admire Matt Wright sitting in 10th position. He's 6 laps off of Ali Ferry, yet he's still going. He is soldiering on in 10th position. It's absolutely fantastic. Fine, he's last, but it's getting him positions anyway. If he retired after his first spin, or the incident even on the safety car lap, he'd be outside of a top 15. So staying in this race, he's learning a lot as well, ready for Suzuka. He's learning to control the car a little bit more. He's had issues. He's pitted a hell of a lot more than most of the other drivers, about 7 or 8 times now, but he's still going.
To finish first you must finish. That's the key here, isn't it?
Exactly, that is definitely the key, and I did tell him earlier, whatever you do, do not quit the race. Always continue to the end, because you never know who's going to make a mistake. Unfortunately, one of those making the mistakes was me, where my engine died as I hit the wall, but Matt Wright, he's kept it out of the barriers at least, which meant that his engine stays running, and yep, he's running in 10th, which is a very nice, strong position anyway. It's only 2 positions down off of my best finish.
Well, there we go.
So it sounds like the older brother is a smarter one then.
It seems like it, yes. He does race in real life, so he knows how to take a long race, because he does do endurance racing, and he doesn't really show that in this car that he knows how to drive, but definitely thinking ahead to the future, he really is showing that.
Yeah, and back to race, I see Ryan Seltzer has closed up to Sherwin van der Sloot now.
And Charles Baccio is into the pits.
And about to come out now, and he is still on those sets of tyres, the white tyres. He's changed the tyres, but maybe it could have been more prudent to put on a set of the softs now, but we won't know. But as you say, Ryan Seltzer starting to close in on Sherwin as they come up towards Stowe. And Sherwin is going quite deep, I thought, on the exit of Stowe there. It just wasn't really working out for him that well. But as they make their way up towards the final corner, up towards the line as well, I think there is going to be a change here soon. Although certainly it would be an interesting one if it does. So up towards the farm complex they go, and Sherwin, who has got the position into 4th at the moment, obviously has got Seltzer in 5th right behind him. Interestingly enough, on that last lap as well, a 38.6 for Ali and a 39.2 for Matt, so the gap's come up to about 22 seconds now. So he's really going to have to pull something out of the bag, and I think it might have been the wrong strategy call to run quite so long.
Definitely seems to have not worked out too well for Matt. I mean, running up in the top spot, you want to run as fast as you can to try and take the lead, and he obviously tried to play it in the strategy call of one less pit stop, but I don't know whether it was maybe a mistake in his pit stop where he put on the wrong tyres, or whether it was a choice where he realised he wasn't going to be able to do the remainder of the race and hold on to the lead. So he's probably now just thinking, let's see what I can do. Put on the soft tyres and just push as hard as I can. And it's just not working out for him.
Exactly. So as we making our way up towards the Stowe once again, Seltzer and Sloot. Not much defending needed to go on right now because Sherwin knows just holding his position onto his own. He doesn't really need to force a move so far because it will come naturally. Ryan will just think, I really want to get past him now, but you've got to wait a little bit as we start to wind down this motor race. And they're getting much closer than they've been for the last lap or so. Sherwin is definitely going to have to start thinking about it, and he gets very wide, two-wheel drift. Manages to keep it in though, which is all good, but as they make their way now into farm on lap 46 out of 63, Sherwin again we go, so he does keep position and is patiently waiting, I would say.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ryan doesn't have to force an issue. He doesn't have to force an overtake or anything. He have just come onto the pits and have much fresher tires, and I'm not quite sure, but he might be able to go to the end without pitting again. That's just on the limit. But Sherwin have to pit one more time, so Ryan can play it safe and just stay behind and wait for Sherwin to make a mistake. That would be the smart thing, but as you know, racers doesn't always play the smart game on the track. It's not fun to be smart, it's more fun to make an overtake on the track than being smart and doing it in the pits.
So there we go, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. As you say, it's working about being patient as well, as you suggest there, Ollie. So the gap now only 16 seconds between Ali and Matt. 39.1 compared to a 38.5 between Beavis and Ferry. So although she is going quicker than Matt, I definitely think she's going to have the measure of this race.
Yeah, I think so too now at the moment. If what Joseph said is right about Matt having to pit one more time anyway, then Ali is looking really good for taking the win.
It is just, it's been a fascinating race. I've quite enjoyed being able to watch and call in fact what's going on, because obviously there might not be that much action, but it's about having to understand the strategy that's going on and understand that we're watching other people experiment with their strategies as well as pushing to the very limit.
Yeah, it's a bit different than most of the other stuff at race department at the moment. Of course, not including the Le Mans series, which is a very long race and have lots of different strategies. But compared to the touring car events, this is a whole completely different kind of racing with different strategies and how things looks pretty safe at the start of the race, and then it turns around like it did with Matt. It looked like he had not a safe win, but it looked like the fastest guy on the track with the best strategy. And now it's not looking so good after all. It's quite fascinating, really.
It is, and as we can say, and Sherwin van der Sloot has got a bit of a slide on down in 4th place. He might well lose out his 4th place to Ryan Seltzer. He pulls the driver's right hand side. He's going to try and make a move up the inside, but does lift off coming into turn 1. So Ryan doesn't make a position. He doesn't.
And Ali is in the pits from the lead.
There we go, Ali into the pits. Eta Sintez also coming into the pits from 7th place. So this will be her final stop. So what, 13 laps left to go. Would you put a fuel tank in, Joseph, or would you only put in 14 laps worth for the sake of...
I'd probably myself put on a full tank. It's what I'm used to on the cold tyres. I would have already done it about 2 times by that point. So instead of having to learn a whole new feeling to the car in the final stint, I'd rather stick with what I know. Finding the car would be slightly slower because it's slightly heavier, but for me it would just be better safe than sorry. And
of course Matt Beavers has made the jump on Ali Ferry, so 2.2 seconds separate the pair. And this is going to be an interesting one. Will Matt Beavers just slow up, hold Ali behind, or will he just go for his own race, and if he doesn't get a position, he doesn't get a position?
Yeah, and I would be sorry, I would do the completely opposite of Joseph. I would go for as little fuel as possible to do a faster pit stop and have a faster car on the track. As you won't know what the other driver's strategy are. For all I know, if I had been Ali, is that Matt doesn't have to pit again, and I really have to get past him to win the race. And then I would love to have a light car as possible and to have a short stop as well. So
I'm still going to completely argue against that, though, Ollie. Because Ali, I think she's going to try. She's leading this race quite nicely, and I think Matt does have to pit again. I really don't think that he's going to be able to stretch the fuel or the tyres all the way to the end of this race. He would have ran them for 23 laps, which is just near impossible, even on the harder compound tyres. So I think Matt's going to have to come in, even if in the dying stages. So Ali really should just run as safe as she can, knowing that Matt is going to come in.
yeah, but we know that as commentators sitting here watching it. But Ali is all alone. Do you think she really have the control about exactly what lap Matt pitted on? And
I think she would have known when she got into the lead of the race. She would have known, okay, at lap 40, I took past Matt Beavis. That means at lap 40, he came into the pits. 23 laps still to go. He's not going to be able to make it. That's what my mind is thinking. When I'm on that track and I've got absolutely no one around me and I'm thinking into the long term, I'm thinking other people's strategies. And I'm sure Ali is probably thinking the same. What is Matt's strategy? And bearing in mind that Matt's been the closest competitor for Ali all day, I think she's going to be focusing all her attention on him.
yeah, we have two completely different ways to focus on the race, I think.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you bring two more commentators into the room. I can literally just sit back and let you two deal with it. And
Yeah.
And there we go, Sherwin into the pits. So, didn't work out for him, so that means Ryan Seltzer will continue on his way up to 4th place. Just 13 laps left to go. And it is going to be very close to battle for the lead. Ali Ferry's still closed up. It's under a second. It's about 0.5 seconds. So they made their way through turn number 1 now.
And traffic as well.
And traffic as well. So obviously the traffic ducks to the right hand side. This is going to hold Ferry up more. Sherwin just gets into Ali's way more than Matt's way. But Matt's really going to have to start thinking about defending, I would suppose. He's not going to let him go. I can't imagine that Matt's going to let her go.
If it does, then we know that he have resigned to have to pit again. But if it does defend very hard, I think he's going to do the gamble.
Well, you've got to try it, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. He's got nothing to lose.
Exactly. You don't try it, you don't win from it. If you do try it and lose from it, you still. The point is, you've got to risk it for the biscuit.
Indeed. But as you also said, Matt have had lots of trouble during their season, so he doesn't have to take a second place to take out the championship. For him, it's either first or nothing. If he's second, that's the first loser. He has not much to gain from taking the points. I'm pretty sure he wants to win the race and take the win.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Matt Beavis has retired every single race so far this season due to different issues. And if he's able to take the win now, that's an absolute amazing mark in the championship. He knows he's at least achieved something this year. And with the top 10 automatically qualifying for the next season of the RDGPC, he's going to be trying his hardest to get into that position where he's able to get straight through next year.
That's certainly an interesting theory. And obviously we can see Ali is now very close to the back of Matt. And I'm actually watching from her perspective right now, from her driver's perspective. And he's just not close enough to really risk anything. It's not like he's right in your nose, you know, the kind of, get out my way, you're really slowing me up kind of way. But the kind of, you're just at that point where I cannot do anything.
Yeah, and you can see that she doesn't push the car really hard either. She have a lot more grip than Matt have at the moment, but still are not able to get close enough, probably due to the downforce or lack of downforce when she's close to the car ahead.
Exactly. As you say, she's just got to sit there and enjoy the race and just wait for something to happen. Genuinely nothing she can do unless Matt makes a mistake, touch wood, there's nothing that she can do to really get past unless she gets a great run out of the Magazine Beckett's now. We've got less than about 10 laps left to run really, and she's going to get a decent run. Is she going to go for a late move up the inside into Stowe? She tries it, Matt's got it covered, and Ali with a little bit more understeer coming through the corner. So there you go. She's certainly trying, but I still, like I say, I can't really imagine it happening. Anyway, so on lap 52, or lap 53, out of 63, 10 laps left to go. Matt Beavis is still in the lead of the race ahead of Ali Ferry and Charles Baccio. Ryan Seltzer will be in 4th, 5th of Sherwin van der Sloot. Matt Legalle in 6th, 7th is Atis Sinters, 8th is Steve Legalle, 9th is Christopher Beavis, and 10th is Matt Wright. That is your order for the race, and Ali is still sat behind Matt as they come through Brooklands and Luffield for the 53rd time, and they've got Christopher Beavis ahead of them, they've got traffic ahead of them. That's not really going to play a part as they come up towards Carps. They're going to catch it at just the wrong point, and this has really not helped Ali. Look at the oversteer she suffered, but she's lost a good second or so, I'd say, from that, just by catching traffic at the wrong point.
Yeah, and probably also got a bit more heat in the tires than she really wanted, and yeah, this is not going to help at all. But at the same time, it looked like Matt saw it and tried to push a bit too hard in the next few corners, and that doesn't help him either because he really has to save his tires. So yeah, I think Ali will catch up pretty fast and then become stuck again.
Joseph
Beavis have no front wing actually, sitting in 9th position. I've just noticed.
Are you sure?
He has no front wing, and he's going to come into the pit lane now. We've already had Steve Legalle already in the pit lane. He's just coming out
now. Yep, and yeah, Christopher Beavis, no front wing. That's
yeah, it disappeared there for me as well.
To be fair though, it's nice that he's still racing. It's going to really help out in the team's championships with a number of the other cars not doing as well. Definitely for Kaibitsu actually. Ali Ferry in 2nd position. They're only 18 points behind Talking Door Racing, who only have Charles Baccio racing tonight. Obviously Campbell Wallace, also of Kaibitsu, has already retired early on in the race, but that's still going to be points towards the championship, and very possibly a 2nd position overall. So once we get the official team results up in a couple of days, it's going to be interesting to see how that changes in an overall perspective.
And as you say, it's being interesting, isn't it? Because it's interesting for all of the championships. I mean, I know, Joseph, you mentioned earlier you might have a rough championship guide in terms of points for the end of the race. Is there any hints as to what might happen?
Well, Charles Baccio is definitely going to start to take away in the lead. There's no choice. Well, no.
Ali's got a good run on Matt.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
go for the outside line.
And she goes for the outside line. Matt Beavis is going to try and keep the inside line. He goes sideways, almost makes contact. The rear brakes locked up. And what a shame for Matt Beavis, who had just kept the engine running, but just got the rears locked up, coming into Stowe. And will carry on with his race, but that is a shame. And that's the race lead then, basically, guys. So congratulations, Ali Ferry. But yeah, that was a shame, really. Just talk us through what happened there, Joseph.
Well, Matt tried to hold up the inside line as Ali moved to the left-hand side along Hanger Straight. Ali did a really good job of hanging it side by side, definitely on the outside line through that corner. And Matt tried to attempt to get through, but that rear end, it's going to be kicking out anyway. The tyres are going to be nearing their end of their life, definitely with only about 10 more laps, less than that now, remaining in the race. So he's tried to push the car further than what it's capable of, plus having some of the dirty air given off by Ali Ferry. The rear end's just going to come too unstable for him to control, and luckily he went behind Ali Ferry. It very possibly could have been a collection in that spin there, but both drivers have been going again. Ali Ferry already 11 seconds up the road now.
So there we go, Ali Ferry has taken one chance and run with it, as to be expected.
It's actually really nice to see Ali Ferry leading this race. She's not had the most consistent of seasons, actually. 11th position at Barber. 5th position was an amazing result at Road America, but then obviously the issues that came with Lauschering meant that she finished all the way down in 15th. So a win coming off of those very inconsistent results just continues her inconsistent running this season, and it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to be able to do at Suzuka and Indianapolis.
And of course, there are our next 2 rounds, Suzuka across the legendary circuit. And oh my goodness, Ali Ferry's caught the curb, and she's gone in backwards into the final corner. She's damaged the rear part, some of the rear parts of that car. But with what, less than 8 laps to go, that car's not going to be handling 100%. That's what happens, a slight lapse in concentration. You take too much of the curb, unsettle the car. Luckily, she didn't stall the engine, but by rotating it and a slight clatter on the rear right tyre, that could have put a little bit more damage, and she'd like to admit onto that.
Yeah, that very possibly could heavily have damaged the back of the car, even if you can't visibly see it. That rear end may be a lot looser through the corners, specifically the faster corners. So there may be a little bit more wobbling coming out of some of these turns by Ali Ferry. So I'll definitely want to focus now is Ali Ferry up in the lead, even though she is leading by still a considerable gap. That damage very possibly could play a massive effect in the final stages of this race.
And as you say, it's not long in the race left to go, but nonetheless, it's going to put that little bit of pressure in her mind, especially as she turns into these quick turns as we're seeing here. You can see that there's going to be a little bit of niggling in her head, because she knows that it's going to be a bit of a challenge as Charles Baccio gets all crossed up coming through Luffield. But otherwise, she's not going to be... Luckily, she's going to carry on, but I think she's learnt not to do that again.
Yeah, I think a bit of the reason for this happening is that she have pushed the whole race and been really focused on not making a single mistake in trying to beat Matt. And when she got past Matt and had a good distance between them, she might have thought to herself that this is now safe. Now she can take it a bit easier, and that's when the mistake starts happening.
Oh, and we've got a spin up at Farm as well. That's Sherwin van der Sloot had a bit of a spin. Rotated 360, has rejoined and continues on. But that was a bit of a troubling moment for him then in front of the race leader.
And also you're nearing the end of a pretty long race, and it's easy to lose concentration at the end of a race. You are getting a bit tired, and also depending on what country you are in, it might be pretty hot at the end of a race.
Exactly. And with not long left to go in this race, up towards the final few laps, she's certainly done a great job, and she's shown just how well, not how easy, but just how simple it can sometimes look to win a race of this length.
Yeah, it's looked like she had decided on the strategy early on as well, and even though it looked like Matt had a faster strategy and a different strategy, she didn't seem stressed or anything by that fact. It looked like she had confidence in her own plan for the race and stuck to it. And because it's quite easy when you are driving a race and you realize that you are on a completely different strategy, and it looks like the other strategy is working out, you get a bit stressed out, try to push a bit harder, or try to figure out how to change the strategy to be faster, and you're focusing on almost everything but the actual driving. So I think it shows good confidence in the plans and her own abilities to stick with it, and it does seem like it worked out quite well as well.
And of course, we've got to give hats off to Matt Beavers as well, who's been pushing consistently hard throughout the entirety of this race.
Yeah, I'm a bit interested to see if Joseph is right, and then he will have to pit again at the end now. Because depending on the speed on these laps, Charles Baccio might get a bit closer than he really wants to. Though a pit stop Silverstone doesn't lose you that much time, but Matt is having fairly slow lap times now in the 1:41.
Exactly. So, if you say, because we're winding down slowly in this race as well, Matt is struggling with his pace a little bit and has gone deep through the final parts of the Maggots complex, which is not going to be helping him much at all. And I think with the field sort of as spread as it is now, I can't really see anything changing in this result. So let's sort of summarise then this race as a whole for the last few moments of this 4th round of the Race Department Grand Prix Championship. With just 4 laps left to go, and Charles Baccio, of course, he will remain as championship leader. He's going to be in a very strong point, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's certainly...
Yeah, it's for definite that he's going to be remaining in that lead in the championship. There's no way that Ali would be able to catch up anyway, even if she does take, even as she is taking this win. Charles, even if he finished outside of any sort of points, which is impossible anyway, there's still about 70 points between them, and for only 50 points for the win, it means that Ali could get up into a top 3, but into the lead, definitely not.
Exactly. And Charles, again, he's just gone about his race relatively quietly. You know, he's not needed to make fuss. He's not needed to go out and make every aggressive move. He just needed to run his own race, to bag championship points, really put himself in a strong point for Suzuka, because Suzuka is a very challenging circuit for driving the car for everything. So to get some good points now, just in case you don't get them for the rest of the season, is a sensible decision, I would say.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a Daniel Ricciardo race at the moment. He's picked up some positions when others made mistakes, but haven't really been in any fights. And seems to have a good result. It's like looking at Daniel Ricciardo in Formula 1.
This is true. And let's, Joseph, what? Just talk us through your perspective of the race. How have you enjoyed it? What have you thought?
Well, the start of the race, obviously, it's been a bit problematic, and we do apologise to all drivers that were unfortunately collected in some of the issues that we were having. But other than that, the start of the race, once we went green, it was extremely close, and it was good battling already straight from the start. And I was lucky enough to get involved in a few battles, and then unfortunately, me and Christian Moreau came together and we went around. I dropped back to the rear of the field, but gaining up immediately, it was a lot of fun trying to overtake people. And then I had the retirement. I did obviously quit. I was really annoyed. I just sort of had to go have a quick break. Came back on, come join you, and from this perspective, it's been even more fun. Watching the battles that other people are having, it's been so close, so tense. Even though I'm no longer down on that track, I'm still as tense as I was at the start of the race, because the strategies that are coming into play, the different speeds of all the different drivers, it's just turning out into a race. It's a surprise victory from Ali Ferry. It really is going to be a surprise victory from her, because at the start of this race, I never would have counted her in for a race win. I knew she qualified quite high, but she's been doing that all season long. Come the race, unfortunately, she's dropped down the order. This time, however, it's completely blown my mind. She's been leading most of this race now, and she's doing it with such great skill. And it's just an amazing race to watch.
And of course, we move our minds to Suzuka and to Indianapolis. So, Suzuka, predictions?
I think it's going to be another unpredictable one at Suzuka. The road courses, it's one with a lot more turns. It's going to be a lot more technical. And I think the drivers who benefit more within the Maggots and Beckett's around here, so that would be drivers such as Ali Ferry, Charles Baccio, and actually Sharon Ransky, I've seen has been going quite well through that sector. Those are the drivers that are going to benefit really well at Suzuka. So definitely in that opening sector with the many left and right turns that there are. But I don't think I could say who's going to win it. Charles Baccio, I think, can get another podium. Matt Beavis will be fighting there. But again, it's going to be a total surprise. Definitely with Tom Watts now out of the remainder of the season means that he was one of our competitors at the top of the championship going into this race. But now it's just going to be who else is going to be battling for the top. I mean, myself, I'm not too slow. I can get into a top 5 battle, but it's only when I'm running consistent enough. Heading into Indianapolis, though, it's going to be extremely interesting. There is no call at all. Anyone can win it. Literally anyone. Enrique Andre, our first retirement of tonight, he could go along and win Indianapolis. I mean, Jamie Brooks, Christian Rowe, any of them could go along and win the race at Indianapolis. It's going to be 100 very hard fought laps. Unfortunately, I cannot race myself there, so I'll be having a second driver with Jonas Hillip. But other than that, I think it's going to be an amazing race for all drivers, and it's going to be unpredictable for the remainder of the season. I think Charles Baccio might be able to hold on to the lead in the championship. If Ali Ferry can continue her pace into the final 2 rounds, it very much could be a battle between those 2 drivers.
And of course, I believe you've got an update with the championship standings, or provisional championship standings.
Yes, I'm just finishing all my updates to them now as drivers come into the final few laps, and then I'll send them across.
Okay, so yep, so with on lap 62 out of 63, just 2 laps left to go. Ryan Seltzer, I believe, has just left the pit lane. So, yes, he very late splash and dash for Ryan in 4th. Charles Baccio will end up 3rd. Second race of Matt Beavis, but of course the.
I'm not so sure about the 2nd and 3rd place. Matt is driving with extreme fuel save at the moment, putting in the clutch at the end of the straights and just coasting towards the corners.
But I don't think the gap's too big, though. I'd say between.
Yeah,
well, actually, no, he's slowing significantly.
Yeah, as Joseph said, he might run out of fuel. So I wouldn't be too sure that Matt is taking the 2nd.
Well, it was definitely about a good 10 miles an hour. Charles was 10 miles an hour faster through the left-handing kink onto the Wellington Straight than Matt Beavis was a moment ago. He does seem to be not slow, but not quick.
Yeah, I think Matt has turned the mixture down to 1. It looks like it from the acceleration on the car. I remember I did it myself at Indianapolis in the club race, and it looks quite similar. Trying to save fuel from doing that.
What was that like then?
At Indianapolis, it was hopeless. I couldn't get the car up to 4th gear even. So yeah, that was probably on a good thing to use behind the safety car.
And Matt Beavis is heading into the pit lane. My goodness me, he's heading into the pit lane, so he's going to sacrifice 2nd place, yeah. But
I did say that he wasn't going to be able to go all of that 23 lap stint that he was planning on doing. The fuel just wouldn't allow it, which is probably why he then went onto the softer compounder tyres. But that's a splash and dash that's going to lose him 2nd.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit closer, but yeah.
But of course, yep, so we're on to our last lap. Ali Ferry has made a fantastic race. She's really made it her own, hasn't she? We can't really berate her for doing anything wrong in this race because she's just pushed as hard as she can, gone as quickly as she can. One mistake at one point, but she's come back from that, bounced back, and a fantastic race from her. She is going to come over the line very shortly in the winner's circle. So we're just on the exit of Magnuson Beckett's complex, just Stowe and the chicane to go. Under the hanger straight, she's going to be pushing that car as hard as she can. The nerves must be palpable, feeling in that car, you know, just knowing how close you are from the end of the race. And as she comes through the final couple of corners, just the chicane to go, through the left and through the right, Ali Ferry has dominated today. She's had a great race. She's going to take a deserving victory in round 4 of the race department Grand Prix Championship, and Ali Ferry wins. What a victory for her. And I think she's going to do a couple of burnouts, which is totally acceptable, totally understandable. So there you go, a few victory donuts to do as well. So fair play to Ali Ferry. She is our winner here in round 4, with Charles Baccio coming over to take a very late 2nd place ahead of Matt Beavis. he's definitely going to be happy with the extra points. And I suppose Joseph's in the background very quickly figuring out what this has done to the championship points. But Charles Baccio to come over second. Matt Beavis will finish in third. Fourth place is Ryan Seltzer, but he's in the pit box, so he will finish in fourth. Fifth place for Sherwin van der Sloot. Sixth place will over the line now is Matt Legale. Seventh is Eta Sintez. Eighth is Steve Legale. Ninth will be Christopher Beavis, who's yet to take the line, and also 10th place is Matt Wright. He comes over the line now, and there you go. So the unofficial scores as well are as follows, and it will be Charles Baccio or Dan Long.
Sorry, that's wrong.
That's wrong. Okay, he'll be back with us in a second.
Yeah, sorry.
But okay, do go on if you
I
have
forgot
points.
to add the race winners' points.
Ah, that helps. So Christian Moreau retired in 11th. 12th for Mike Davies, 13th for Jamie Brooks, 14th for Tom Watts, 15th for Joseph Wright, who is also in here. Dan Long in 16th, 17th, 18th is Campbell Wallace, 19th, Douglas Simonelli, and Eric Andre are in 20th. And we've got a few people in here now as well. And Ole, of course, a great race from Ali there.
Yeah, it was a really good race. And as Joseph said, I wouldn't have expected her to be at the top when the race was started. So, yeah, a bit surprised, but surprise is always nice in racing.
It's always a nice feeling to have. And we will wake up and we'll see what goes on. Later on in the next round across Suzuka is our next round of the championship. And hopefully we can quickly get the point summary from Joseph if he's calculated it. Hopefully.
Yep, just showing it now.
Okay, so there you go. We will go over the points in just a second's time. And there we go. So the points are as follows, and these should be correct this time. And it is Charles Baccio, who is in the lead of the championship. Second place means he is on 170 points ahead, 24 points ahead of Dan Long. Sherwin van der Sloot is third on 128, 126 though for Tom Watts. 124 is Ali Ferry, so that win has really helped her. So it's getting very close for third place. 122 for Steve Legale as well. 108 for Ryan Seltzer. Matt Legale in 8th place on 105. 9th for Eta Sintez in 97 points. And 10th place will be Campbell Wallace on 97 points.